I think a lot of people owe the 2018 movie Velma and Daphne an apology. It is not as bad as the internet makes it out to be. And also, why isn't it streaming anywhere? I couldn't even find like an illegal recording of it. I had to buy it on DVD on eBay. I mean, now that I'm complaining, I bought some other stuff too. I got a really good deal. But we'll talk about it. We're going to talk about this movie so I can say why people owe this movie an apology. And you know what? You can put the apology in my comments too. But before we get any farther in, I think I should introduce myself. I'm Bailey. I don't normally wear orange eyeshadow. I just felt I needed to represent Velma a little bit, and I don't own orange clothing. Obviously, Jennifer here is Daphne. And if you're watching this video, you're probably my friend and I sent it to you, so thank you for watching. And if you're not my friend, I am so glad you're here. Please like, please subscribe, please share. Please follow me over on TikTok at BLYHDGN. Click my link tree in my bio. On this channel, I yap about the things that I like. Let's just jump into the movie, shall we? Daphne and Velma came out in 2018, and it was produced by Blondie Girl Productions, which if you've never heard of them, I hadn't either. But that is Ashley Tisdale and her sister. The movie starts with this weird kind of commercial for Ridge Valley High School, a school founded by Tobias Bloom, who got all of his money from a cell phone. He is very much a Steve Jobs analogy in this movie. His goal with creating the school was to create the leaders of tomorrow. Obviously, I see no conflict of interest with that. And the school is super techy, and then the commercial ends, and this girl, like in a daze, walks into a smoking locker and disappears after her phone shows her a skull picture. Not even a real skull, like a skull sticker. Then we see Daphne's room, and it establishes her as a huge believer in aliens. I really like this sort of Lisa Frank alien vibe that they've got going on for her. She's wrapping up something talking about aliens. I don't know what it is. At first I thought maybe it was a podcast, but there's like she's on camera in her pajamas, so maybe not. Then I thought maybe she's live streaming, but then she and Velma just talk. They don't type. They don't click to another window. So now I think it might just be, and after finishing the movie, I think it might just be a FaceTime call. I think they just called each other that morning and Daphne info dumped on her girlfriend about aliens. Also, I have one really flat eyebrow that I think I rubbed off and one nice arched eyebrow. What if I just do the whole video this way? My left eye turned out better anyway. Whatever. Stop being so vain, Bailey. But whatever. The takeaway we're supposed to get is that Velma is a non-believer, and Daphne and Velma playfully disagree with each other. Daphne's family travels around the world because her mom is like a tech super genius, but they have settled down in Ridge Valley, and Daphne is super excited to go to school with Velma. Velma is just not excited. We zoom out, and Velma's room is a scary conspiracy theorist bedroom. We see Daphne getting ready for school. Everything goes her way always. They're in Ridge Valley because Daphne's mom is working with Bloom Innovative, and she's excited to meet Tobias Bloom at breakfast. And her dad, Arwen, TBT, is generally supportive. And he and Daphne talk about how every school she has gone to has been super weird, but she has faith that this one's going to be normal this time. When we get to school, we see that Velma is kind of an outcast loser, and by kind of I mean really is, and she ignores Daphne. Daphne meets Carol, who is Bae from Switched at Birth with the straightest hair I have ever seen on her. She really looks like her sister. Carol is surprised how everything seems to always go Daphne's way. Carol explains to Daphne that the students there beta test everything for Tobias Bloom and just gives her a new cell phone. Daphne meets Michaela and Spencer. Michaela is very artsy and Spencer's very techie idea guy. The school has a scoreboard for underclassmen. I don't know why upperclassmen aren't on it. And whoever is in first place gets an internship with Bloom Innovative. Follow-up question, shouldn't that be the upperclassmen then? I don't know. It's just to establish the ranking system. The ranking system is what's important here. Carol is shocked when Daphne says Velma is her friend because she's shocked at the idea of Velma having friends. Velma doesn't have a profile in their system and tells Daphne essentially, go away, don't ever talk to me again. And Daphne is hurt and confused. Poor baby. We also find out that Velma is in last place in the leaderboard. Daphne is excelling in school because of her world travels, and Spencer asks her to be his lab partner. I think this might be the only time we see Daphne with her locker open, and there's a picture of Velma in there. Daphne and Velma are both still at school kind of late. Daphne asks what's going on with Velma and why is she ignoring her. The lights keep flickering. Daphne thinks it's a ghost, kind of wants to go after it. Velma keeps trying to stop her. They hold hands as they run away. They see Spencer walk into a mysterious smoking locker. And then they poke their heads in and see that there's a whole secret passageway. But then Daphne's dad appears and stops them from going into it. And then we find out that the reason everything goes so well for Daphne, including school, is because her dad feels guilty about how many times they've uprooted her life and moved. So he stalks her and makes things go perfectly. Daphne is understandably upset and wants to start doing things for herself. There is one thing her dad was doing that I think he could keep doing, and that is making her clothes. She wants to start picking out her clothes, which wild that her dad was doing that at that big age, but I think he could keep making them. He made a banger outfit. Daphne calls Velma for some advice. Velma's keeping distance. She's upset, but holds strong in her decision to do things independently. Daphne recorded a weird noise in the secret passageway. Secret passageway is for no reason so hard for me to say, but she can't figure out what it is. Daphne's dad respects her boundaries and lets her get ready up by herself. She even takes the bus to school. Carol doesn't like Daphne's outfit, and this is like the most similar to the cartoon. Boo, Carol! And then Carol gives Daphne this weird shirt that like changes what it looks like from an app on your phone. And then stares ominously at Daphne. Gay. Spencer's acting really weird in class, and it can't be drugs. This movie's like, gee. So Daphne's like, yes, that means I get to partner with Velma. And then Velma's not happy about it, so she sabotages their project, and they get sent to the principal's office. The principal is actually Velma's aunt, and she's kind of weird, and her two loves are yogurt and Tobias Bloom. And she has this weird techie couch, because remember, everything here is smart. Even the students. And if you're disagreeing, it pushes you closer and closer together, and it doesn't let you have space until you like make up. So the two of them argue and get pushed closer and closer together, and then the tension breaks and they start apologizing and they get more room. Velma's aunt also makes a comment about, you used to be such a smart student. I don't understand what happened. And Velma tells Daphne that she realized something weird was going on with number one students, so she purposely let her grades go. Which, like, yeah, in the plot of this movie makes sense, but I worry for her future. Like, how do you... spoiler alert, they solved the mystery, but like if they didn't solve it, how would she explain that on her transcripts? They disagree about working together, and Daphne is so excited to get to sit closer to Velma. I know what you are. Daphne and Velma go and talk to Carol about how they're worried about Spencer, and Carol's like, no, look at his social media. He's perfectly fine. Yeah, that's good evidence, I guess. And then earlier she called this guy cute, and I guess he's the number one student now. His name is stupid, Griffin Griffiths. Daphne wants to go into the secret passageway behind the lockers. Velma reluctantly agrees, so she kills her robot for parts, specifically one part. I don't think she needed to smash it with a hammer, but okay. When Daphne gets home, she talks to her parents, and her mom is, I guess, like CEO of something called Mash Mouth, which we find, I don't really understand what it is. I think it just takes pictures of you and makes videos. This is before AI was what it has become. She's still mad at her dad and doesn't want to talk to him. They go to a school assembly that feels a lot like those presentations where Steve Jobs comes out and announces the new iPhone and how we're getting a new kind of charger. Steve Apple. And he announces like a personalized music headphones and a 3D printer that prints food. I forgot to say it earlier. One of Spencer's big like ideas is, what if your phone could make food? So when we see the printing food in the assembly and Spencer sitting there like a zombie, Daphne and Velma are like, something suspicious is happening here. Tobias Bloom is actually there in the flesh and announces that Griffin Griffiths is the new number one. Daphne and Velma sneak out and melt a locker using the goo and the robot parts, but there is no secret passage, just a ribbon, and Velma's like, wait, the girl from before Spencer used to wear ribbons like this. This must be what happened to her. There's a hooded figure following them around spookily. They get caught and are given kitchen duty and shame stickers. And I know that shame stickers are supposed to be a joke because this came out in 2018. But genuinely, it feels like that is the direction that discipline at schools is heading. Like, they don't do suspension, detention, none of that. You're just gonna get a shame sticker. Griffin and his friends are rude to Velma and Daphne during kitchen duty. So that makes Velma think, wait a minute. This guy has motive to have wanted to get rid of Spencer and the girl before Spencer. I don't remember her name. The one from the commercial. Daphne and Velma hide on a cart and park themselves. Well, they have Carol park them next to the table that Griffin and his friends are at, and they eavesdrop, and they mostly just hear Griffin's friends being incredibly validating to each other. And then Griffin is really suspicious, and he's like, oh no, I gotta go, I left that super important thing on my phone, and my phone's in my locker. Yeah, it's cat videos. Don't get your hopes up. But then Griffin walks away like a zombie and disappears into a locker. So Daphne convinces Velma to melt this one too, but they get the same result of there's nothing in there, and then they get in trouble. They tell the principal what they think is going on, and in response, they get new shame stickers and also the shame drone following them around. Griffin is zombified. Now Michaela is in the top spot, so they decide that they're going to make Velma be number one so that they don't have to like save the next person and the next person and the next person and the next person. They're just going to make it be Velma and then figure it out once they are just saving Velma. And that means sabotaging other people. The lights cut out when they go to sabotage Michaela's, because remember, she's artsy, her art show, and this disguise hiding, not suspicious at all, not gay, nope. Velma sneezes, and I really don't know how this makes the passageway open. I think Daphne jumps, maybe Velma, I don't know. Somebody jumps and it bumps a button and a doorway opens. And now they're in the tunnels. Yay! They think it's weird that there's tunnels because somebody would have had to have built those in the school. Schools don't just have tunnels behind every locker. I mean, as far as I know, but that's their logic, not mine. So they end up in a lab and see Michaela in a tube. They try to free her, but she gets sucked up it. On the computers are a ton of like the fake social media posts, and if this was made today, that would just be AI. Like, it feels like this reveal of like, oh my god, they're using Mash Mouth, whatever that was, as just AI. It's easy to wrap my head around it now, and that's kind of gross. Boo AI. All my homies hate AI. So do Daphne and Velma. Velma's scared and starting to think it's a ghost, but Daphne thinks ghosts don't need chairs or computers, and this is definitely a person. We find out that the hooded figure was Daphne's dad, actually struggling to respect her boundaries but trying to keep a distance, and it looked like he was floating because he was on a hoverboard, and the cloak was like a bathrobe as a disguise. I left out that there was a brief chase scene when they got to the computer lab, and they just keep running around the same thing. I can see why people would criticize that. We're going to put a little pin in it. Velma unknowingly turns on the spooky voice, like the weird noise that Daphne had recorded, and it makes them both like zone out and walk towards the tube, but Dad can't hear it because there's some frequencies only teenagers can hear. They are very confident. They know it's Bloom Innovative behind it, so they call Daphne's mom to try to be like, don't go to your meeting, but it's too late. She's already meeting with Tobias Bloom. Daphne has a breakdown and thinks she's not capable of anything and should just go back to the way things were, but her dad and Velma hype her up. Velma kills another robot. They sneak into the school and Velma steals a drone, the shame drone, and when she grabs it, it says, "Is that you, Mom?" I hate that. Why are the robots sentient and it's like not acknowledged? Because Dad's legs are hurt, they make him be the guy. I'm not sure when he hurt them. They make Dad be the guy in the chair, and he is super fucking annoying, but I think that's how I would be if I was the guy in the chair like he is. They are able to sneak into Bloom Innovative by wearing the weird tech clothes as camouflage. The elevator repeats their biggest insecurities to them. They are able to beat it by complimenting themselves and each other. Okay. They arrive just in time to see Mom being turned into a zombie. Tobias is here, and his office has lights from IKEA. The machine that Mom is hooked up to is the brainstormer, because Tobias felt there was too much pressure to come up with ideas, so he just finds smart people and also teenagers and steals their ideas and I guess turns them into zombies. So those two inventions that you saw at the presentation assembly thing were in fact stolen from the zombified students. Velma fights robot spiders while Daphne tries to free her mom. Velma makes a comment about, "You scuffed my boots, you have to replace those. I don't get a lot of allowance." I bet those boots are Doc Martens. Velma. Tobias is actually a hologram, and his face claim is a model from Japan that Daphne recognizes from when she lived in Japan. Carol is here and lies to them, and they're like, dude, just give it up. Why are you here? And turns out she is actually the person behind Bloom Innovative, and actually all of this, that she had an idea for her fancy smartphone, and no one would take her seriously because she was too young, so she created a hologram adult man for people to take seriously, but had the same like, no ideas, I'll just start stealing them from people. And then Velma and Daphne are like, wait, how old are you? That would make you old. And she's 26, and Daphne is like, shit, you look great for 26. Daphne, I know you're gay. The police arrive. Carol only breaks her cool once. she sees that the brainstormer is being destroyed. I kind of question if her name is actually Carol. Like, okay, now her saying that Griffin was cute is kind of weird when she's 26 and he's a teenager. I'm calling the police. Okay, so to be 26 in 2018, you would have been born in 1992. How many babies were named Carol in 1992? Like, I know that's supposed to point to her being older, and like there's a moment where she doesn't know the band that Daphne really loves. And it was a made-up band, so I just kind of thought Daphne is into like indie stuff that not everybody's listening to because she travels so much that she's just exposed to a lot and comes home and is like, yeah, I love that. Yeah, everybody knows this obscure model from Japan. The ranking board gets taken down, which has me wondering if the school is getting closed. Was it a private school or a public school? I frankly don't know. I feel like it would have to be private with all the tech and the free phones. What billionaire is going to give a free phone to a poor person? Be so for real. And then Griffin's stoner friends explain the moral of the movie, that tech has enslaved our minds, and that societal peer pressure turns us into being people or things that we are not, and that you are number one in your friends' books. Spencer and Michaela thank Daphne and Velma. I'm happy that they are back to normal. And then there's just like a montage of everybody being happy, including the principal getting to eat yogurt. Somebody sends Velma an encrypted file, so she calls Daphne, and Daphne comes over, and then it starts really like messing with her computer in a hackery way, and then there's like a spooky shadowy figure in the screen with an ominous message, and Daphne's like, oh, it's a monster, and Velma says, no, there's no such thing as monsters, and then Daphne's like, well, we'll see about that, and it's definitely trying to set us up for a sequel that never happened. That's the end of the movie. I watched the bonus features. I don't know why I haven't before for the movies that I talked about, but I did for this one. And there were 3. One of them was about how they specifically want this to be empowering for girls. And I did not notice until it was pointed out just how little of an impact men have in the story. Like, obviously there's no Shaggy, Scooby, or Fred, but the main antagonist is not a man, it's a woman. That really, there's only 3 named male characters. Do they ever speak to each other? I don't know if Griffin's friends have names. The protagonists are women. The people in positions of power are women. The principal is a woman. Daphne's mom is a CEO. Carol, while evil, is a woman in charge and very, tech. Female Steve Jobs, whatever. Everybody on set seemed to have really bought into that there was a female director. Susie Unessi, I hope I said that right, that they really wanted to empower girls. The other featurette, I didn't like this one as much, was about reimagining Daphne and Velma for today. And they were talking about, like, Daphne's not a damsel in distress. A lot of people think that. And listen, I was an adult. Oh, my light. No. Okay, we're back. I was an adult in 2018. It had been a long time since Daphne was the damsel in distress. We're just going to go without it. I didn't charge it. I was so excited that it was here that I just sat down and started recording. We'll just finish dark. I'm sorry. I feel like ever since the live action movie starring Sarah Michelle Gellar, they kept doing Daphne is a badass, she can kick ass, and still dress as cute. So this doesn't... It feels like we're trying to reinvent the wheel when we really didn't need to. I do like that they said Velma is smart and cool. Smart is cool. It is cool that she is smart. And I like that. I like that representation. I don't know that they achieved it with how they made her so unfriendly, but I get what they were going for. They wanted both the leads to come off as capable. Also, both the leads are played by women named Sarah. And Sarah Michelle Gellar was... Wow, there's a lot of Sarahs in live action Scooby-Doo, I guess. The director is definitely a huge lover of Scooby-Doo. The reason the chase scene happens in such a small room is because she wanted it to reference how the backgrounds were looping with such a short loop in the original cartoon. Susie, you ate with that one. You did. And I know I said I'd put a pin in it. This is us circling back to it. You ate with that one. There's a little featurette with the costume designer. And listen, she slayed. She understands using clothing to tell us about character and growth, and there's a lot of source material to reference that she tried to stay in the color. Like, we do see Velma in an orange sweater. We see Daphne in a purple skirt with green scarves, and she specifically says, like, instead of wearing tights the whole time, like in the cartoon, she's wearing thigh-high boots. And you know what? Yes, I get it. Genius. Slay, you ate. I love these women in charge. Put more women in charge of more things. The thing that she really wanted to get across, though, with their costuming was Velma is practical, Daphne is expressive. And yeah, that fits the characterization for how they would dress. I also like when they wear their little matching backpacks for their espionage. And then I just have like one more random thought before I end this video. I like biracial Daphne. I frankly don't care about race bending anybody in the Scooby Gang. They just have to wear the right colors, and like the haircut should be kind of similar a little bit, and I'm good with it. I got used to brunette Fred. I didn't like it, and I would forget who he was, but it's not the end of the world. And I think that people who get too up in arms about, no, they're adding diversity, get over yourself. Genuinely, get over yourself. It's kids' cartoons. We can have a little diversity. This movie's not that bad. I think it got such a bad rap because I know it's weird to have Scooby-Doo without everybody there, but Fred and Velma weren't in 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. There's Shaggy and Scooby-Doo get a clue, so it's fine when it's the boys. You're fine with cutting girls out, or one girl and one boy, but it can't just be girls. I don't care. I think in this universe, if I'm going to make things up, Daphne and Velma, I think Velma befriends Fred and brings him in. Daphne befriends Shaggy and brings him in. Shaggy already owns Scooby at this point. I think it would have been fun to see how this Daphne and Velma meet the rest of the Scooby Gang, but they wanted it to be girl power, and I have no problem with that. But I think that's why a lot of other people had problems with it. They don't want to see women succeed. And, you know, I know we know that clip. It's not a girl's cartoon. It's not a boy's cartoon. It's about a talking dog.
It wasn't a boy's cartoon or a girl's cartoon or any of those things.
It was a talking dog, you know what I mean?
But I think there is a certain degree of fandom who do see it as a boy's cartoon and want boys there. And I hate to say it, but I guess don't want to see a girl power thing. It's Legend of Korra. Can we have a female avatar? So I think that it's not amazing, but it's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be. And I don't think we need to pretend that it didn't exist. And I think we kind of owe it an apology for that, because I mean, who doesn't want little girls to get the message that they are capable and smart is cool? Capable and smart is cool. Oh no. What is the world coming to? And I would say go watch it, but there's like no way to. I don't know. I'll have a sleepover. Since you're my friend and I sent it to you, we can just have a sleepover and we can watch it. Or you can borrow my DVD. That's the end of my video. So if you made it this far, I am so glad you watched it. Thank you very much. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and maybe follow me over on TikTok at BLYHDGN. I'm running out of storage, so I have to say this extra fast and then make room on my iPad. I'm going to try to make it my first ever edit, and it's going to be Daphne and Velma in this movie being gay. So follow me on TikTok to watch that video. Okay, bye.